Scott McNair, injury attorneys, we fight for the win.
All right, good morning, everybody. This is David Vignier, along with my law partner, Brad Scott. This is the Overruled podcast brought to you by the Scott Vignier Law Firm. Thank you all for being with us. We have an exciting discussion today, Brad. One of the things I really wanted to talk about was we're getting to the end of the year. We're starting to do both of our individual practice group plans for 2025. About to be in November when we shoot this. It's crazy. I don't know where this year
goes fast.
It goes by very fast. And looking ahead and planning for 2025 budgets and goals and all those things. I was kind of thinking this morning, we were talking about this before the show, about the power of mentorship, being in masterminds, coaching, all those things. Tell me a little bit from your perspective on how that's impacted things that you did this year, your journey on that. Like, maybe tell our listeners a little bit about that.
Yeah, and just to give the listeners a little bit of a background, for those who aren't familiar with it, there are groups out there that you can get involved with, which both you and I are involved, multiple ones that are, other people in your business sector, or people that are, similarly running businesses and stuff like that, that people sit down, they exchange ideas, they go over things, and these groups can be invaluable. I've gotten plenty out of them, can go into a little bit more detail, but finding those types of groups are very important. I always tell people life is way too short. Time is your limited resource, and making all the mistakes yourself is the slow boat to getting wherever you're going to go. Find somebody who's made the mistakes, and that's what these groups can do for you and kind of accelerate that growth. And this year, I've traveled more this year than any other year previously. I think I've been at least a conference or a meeting at least every single month so far this year. I have one more left in Dallas in November, and I think I'm done with the conference season. We may have to readdress that next year, whether I have that many. But I started joining groups. You've been around me long enough to know, about 7-8 years ago. This has been the secret sauce. This has been the rocket fuel to propel my business, your business as well. I know plenty of people in my groups. It's a place to go and sit and exchange ideas. It's a place where you can go and talk to people that are experiencing the same problems you may be having in your business and can help accelerate those things for you. So, I think it's invaluable. Anybody out there who has any type of goal, a business goal or anything like that, or even a personal goal, and this is more than memberships and groups. This is coaching too. Mr. Miyagi was the coach for the Karate Kid. Luke Skywalker had Yoda. There's plenty of examples in the world of how you can go faster by finding somebody to learn from. But yes, one of them, and I'll give a shout out. We've been on his podcast, Ben Glass. He has a great one for lawyers called Great Legal Marketing. That group, that group probably has had the biggest impact on my practice out of anything I've been involved in. And the biggest thing is it's ideas. Yeah. What works, what doesn't work, where it's vetting vendors so that we're trying to look at, whether it's finding best practices, whether it's, if we're shopping for new technology, who else has been out there who's used it and had success or failure with it. So I've made plenty of mistakes, but these types of groups have helped me to make less mistakes, or at least learn from other people's mistakes. And I think you've had a similar path, but tell us about kind of your and some of the groups that you've been involved in, and kind of some of your experiences.
Yeah, so we have we in the injury group, we have coaches through Fireproof, which is a subsidiary of the Mike Morse Law Firm, which are implementing and have us an active EOS, which is all derived from the book Traction. And so that has been, since starting that about a year ago now, has been a game changer as far as like helping us address issues and operations that come up weekly, developing a leadership team who is not just me, who is looking at different things firm-wide as the firm grows, and addressing different issues, systems, processes, problems, fixing them, coming up with solutions. That's part of growing a business. It just is. There's always going to be problems. You and I were in a meeting this morning just chatting about some different things, and I told you I'm walking out of here and there's going to be 17 problems. I identified 4 before I sat down to do this podcast. Some of them frustrated me. Some of them I can't believe I'm still fixing, but they are what they are. That's the nature of running a business. Like, you got to get to the point where you've had enough problems where you accept that they're coming, you get ready for them, and you flip your mindset and look at them from a different lens, in my humble opinion. But the coaching has been invaluable for us from the standpoint of having experienced people who have done it. That's the key, right? Like, you want to be coached by somebody, in my opinion, who's done it, not somebody who is not in your industry and does not understand your industry and like has a lot of their mouth moving but hasn't actually lived it. And then the masterminds have been great. The mastermind's a great concept because it puts you in a room with 10 or 11 other business owners. I think one of the keys to its success is like, I'm getting ready to go to one in a week and a half, which is in Lake Tahoe. And so I have to leave here and I have to get on planes.
You have to take time away from your business.
Got to take time away from everything and put my head in a different place, in a different space, which when you start to consider doing this, you're like, well, I can't leave the business for
the biggest thing I would tell you, like a lot of resistance people give is it's a sticker shock.
How much it costs.
A lot of these things aren't cheap. Taking time away from your business, you're not earning money at that time. It costs money to travel. And we talk about this all the time. I've never been to a conference or a mastermind or a kind of group type of thing where I didn't come back with 10x the value of what it actually cost me to go out there because of the ideas you get.
Yeah, I think with a lot of people, it's a mental hurdle. They just can't accept it. The cost, the departure time, you leave. But I'm like, the cost is one piece of it. The cost, from my perspective, is not even a cost. It costs, but I look at it as an investment. And so it's like, do you believe in yourself or not? Yes or no? Like if you believe in what you're doing at your company, then you're investing in the company and in yourself, and the company's growth. And if you do believe in yourself and what you're doing, that means you also have to convince the other team members who are part of your company about what you're doing and have them believe in the vision, the plan, the growth. And so if you're not investing in coaching and investing in a mastermind or something of that nature, then you're kind of selling the rest of your team short because they need the best version of you, which means they need you to continually be going out there, collecting ideas, looking for vendors. These are all just tools. Like if I go to a mastermind meeting and somebody's like, oh, we use so-and-so to help us with this. Okay, it's a vendor that somebody who's not in legal would never use because it's a specific company who does a specific thing to fix a specific problem in legal that we do, right? But these are all tools. And like, it's funny going to these conferences, sitting in mastermind meetings now. I haven't done this now for a year and a half. When the problems come up, and I'll give you an example, like if there's a medical lien issue, there's a problem with one thing I'm trying to help a team right now fix is a CMS, a Medicare issue. I know a vendor who other firms have used. I know what it costs to use them. They've been vetted. They have personal relationships with people in these groups, and I have an immediate solution for the people in the firm who need me to help them fix something.
And without that, instead, you're trying to vet the vendors yourself. You may have to go through 2 or 3 of them, may not get any traction with them until you find the right one. That's time. It costs money.
Not to mention if you didn't even think to go hire a vendor and you had everybody in the office spinning circles trying to fix a particular issue, which is very niche, very unique, very difficult, and better suited to form out to somebody to just help fix it. That's a small example. I mean, a lot of the good and fun ideas that we come up with come from mastermind groups.
Yeah, we're not reinventing the wheel here.
No.
It's and it kind of goes back to one of the basics of success. Success leaves clues.
Yeah.
There's blueprints for everything. Anything you want to set your mind to that you want to accomplish, there's somebody out there who's probably done it before.
Yeah.
Go find what they did, repeat, and do the same thing. And these are what these groups allow us to do. And then the big thing too, which is a key core of success, is the continued learning.
Yeah.
You have to invest in yourself. You have to get around people who know more than you to learn. And when you stop learning, you stop evolving. Your success is going to be capped. So that's one of the things for me also, is that I want to be in a room with people who know more than I do about whatever the topic is.
Absolutely.
I want to be the dummy in the room. Those are the rooms that are going to help me be successful and make more money. It's going to help me, and the more money I make, the more time I can spend with my family, the better my firm is going to run. Everything gets better when you're around that group of people. What's the old adage? You're the average of the 5 people you hang around with. Pick that 5 very carefully. And then this is the place you need to be looking for these kinds of things.
Yeah, and most of the people that you meet, it's interesting you talk about learning, because most of the people you meet that are successful, at least in the legal world, in the groups that I've been involved in, are people who are constant, interested learners. They want to learn every day. They want to grow. And then I take it a firm-wide level, at like a micro level, not that macro size. Most of the good team members that we've had at the firm that are here now, they are eager to learn. They are eager to make mistakes and learn from them. That's a highly accountable person, like somebody who wants to learn, who wants to get better and grow. And so those groups enable you to see what other people are doing, understand, like you said, success leaves clues, understand what they're doing and is successful for them, learn from what they're doing that's not working.
That's the bigger part, actually.
And in some ways, truthfully, it becomes if you have a therapist, this could replace some of your therapy cost, because, there's a particular issue right now that the entire team here knows in the injury group for the fourth quarter. I was like, these are my 4 priorities for the fourth quarter. One of them's a planning issue for 2025, like planning our marketing and laying all that out for 2025. But the other 3 are all things that we're not doing that well right now. We're not tracking that well right now.
Yeah.
And they're things that I've committed.
Measure what matters.
100%. I've committed to the entire team that I'm digging into these 3 things, and we're going to be in a better place with these 3 things by the end of the fourth quarter. Now that I'm getting involved in it, and I'm going to cobble together the pieces, I'm going to know everything about it before the end of the fourth quarter. 2 of those 3 things are things that every other firm in my mastermind group is struggling with. So it makes you realize you're not on an island. Like some of the things that you're struggling with and trying to improve
it's
on.
Not that unique to our. Everybody deals with the same problems. It's nice to have that kind of support group more than anything.
Well, like I said, it's a therapy session built into a business development group.
Absolutely, and it's also too. I mean, especially with the groups I'm involved in, I find, and I don't know if it just these groups attract these type of people or not, but most of the people that are involved have what's called an abundance mindset.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, I have the secret ball of how to get this stuff done. I'm going to hide it from everybody. Everybody's very giving and sharing of the information they have regarding a vendor or a technique or a process. They're very willing to give that away with no expectation in return. And some of the best groups I've been involved with is the people who all are like that, and everybody's giving and everybody's getting a little bit out of it. And it's very refreshing because, in the business of law, it's a very competitive field, just like any other business. And a lot of times we feel like resources are limited. Yeah. If I'm getting it, that next guy is not getting it. But from my experience, these groups, everybody thinks there's plenty out there. We're all just trying to help each other get where we're trying to get with as far as our success.
That's one of the things I like about it too, because I immediately relate to that too. Right?
Yeah.
Like, the way I think about things that we do here and talk about things here is like focusing on what we're doing here and what we want to do and how we want to grow and how we want to improve. I still don't understand. Like, my head is just not wired to think like some lawyers do, that like mine is mine, yours is yours. We're going to compete.
That's everybody to succeed.
That's not the way I see the world. I'm happy for everybody to succeed. Like, I will cheer somebody else's success on, and when I feel that little envy creep in, I ground myself and realize like that's not okay. Like, you can't think that way. A successful person in life is somebody who can cheer for other people and be happy when other people are happy. And most of these groups have those people in it. And that's a good thing. Like, I want to be around those people. People who are not like that, you know what? That's a great thing about life. Get out. Go away. Like Charlie Munger's theory on life is to identify toxic people and immediately remove them.
Those people seem to weed themselves out of the groups.
For sure.
I've been in groups before where people have left. I mean, they feel like they're not welcome because either you're participating or you're not. But yeah, I mean, I can't stress, and that's why we're covering this topic today. Now we have the whole year to kind of reflect on, but the importance of finding these types of groups for anybody out there who is wanting to move their business forward or anything personally they want to move forward. Find somebody, get that coaching, get that group. It's an investment in education. We spend all our years, our first 20 plus years of our lives in school, whether it's, preparatory school, undergraduate, graduate, we continue to educate ourselves and spend money on that. And then we get out of college and a lot of people just stop at that point. And it's unfortunate. And I'd wager that the people who are the most successful people in the world are the ones that continue to learn, to continue to read books. I mean, my reading list comes from these groups.
Yeah.
Every time I'm in one of these meetings, if somebody's got 3 or 4 different books that they're going over that they read that had an impact on them. It's great to get those recommendations 100%. And just everybody's sharing so much information. I love the energy of these groups.
Yeah. Well, the book recommendations are great. Right?
Yes.
I get a lot of the books out of there too. And then, it's just realizing like we're all figuring this out together.
Yes.
Not everybody has all the answers. Even the big companies in the world or in the country who are Fortune 500, they have problems. They have
coaches.
They have coaches. They have issues they're trying to solve. Their leaders or have personal coaches and business coaches. And
I know a lot of these people who run these masterminds and groups, they have coaches themselves. 100%. I mean, they drink their own Kool-Aid.
100%. I know for a fact that the 3 organizations that we're involved in, maybe not the 4th, but at least two or 3 of the 4 organizations that we're involved in that are education-based coaching and mastermind type groups, that they all have coaches too.
Yes.
So what does that tell you? Like, they're making money doing this, plus they're taking their own money and investing in it. And I would agree with you. Like, I would give Ben a lot of credit for this, because Ben was very honest and open, and at a conference a couple of years ago, was just like, look, because they have a great law firm, not the biggest law firm. He's like, we're investing over $100,000 a year in coaching.
Yeah.
Because
I was surprised by that number. That's
that's
a big number.
But it
drives home the point.
It drives home the point, and it made it, in my mind, I was like, I look up to Ben, always have, since I started to listen to his podcast and follow him and get to know him, and say, okay, he's willing to invest this much. Like, what am I afraid of? And it gave me the permission to say, I can invest a lot of money into these things, because they're going to grow me personally and professionally and have a positive impact firm-wide on my entire team.
Yeah. And, it's talking about the team element too. Don't overlook the fact that there's plenty of other groups that people who work for you, whether you have marketing directors or intake type people, whatever other functions you have in your office, there are groups to put them in that they can learn from as well, where everybody's learning. You don't have to be the only person in the firm who has to generate ideas. Enroll them, invest in your employees, spend money on them. There will be better team members, and everything moves faster that way.
That's a great point. And a lot of these organizations that we're in, which I would assume is similar in different industries, right? They have monthly webinars for different team members, marketing intake for us, management for us. So there's leadership and growth development for your team in here. And then, like, we know Miles and Sandra are about to go into this new marketing mastermind. So they will then grow and learn more in their own mastermind that we're getting them in. And that's the next step, right? Once you get over the hurdle of you seeing the value of it and being actively involved in it, then you got to go a step further and realize, like, look, I want to make my people better too. I want them to grow. I want them to learn, develop more skills. The more they know, the more skills they have, the more money they make, the more they're elevated in the organization. Like, it's a win-win all around.
This is the starting point of investment.
Absolutely.
Anybody can throw money at marketing and stuff like that, or any other aspect of their business, but you have to invest in your people. Your people are everything. Yourself, your team members, and the more money you put there, the bigger return you're going to see. I mean, dollar for dollar every single time.
Yeah, and so it's not just in us. That's the point, right?
Yes.
It's like, I also see, like, that aspect of it in the context of putting them in it. But I also see it on the context of the money we invest to be in the group ourselves is also an investment in them. Because the better I get, the better the firm gets, the better the team gets.
And we have to lead by example.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, like, again, I cannot, I know we've talked about mentoring with a lot of the guests we've had before, and a lot of those people had mentors that they've had in their past, and they're mentoring people now, but this cannot be overlooked as a key to success.
Yeah. What also, the last point I wanted to make about it is it has prevented me from making a lot of mistakes. A lot of stuff I was thinking about doing, I didn't do.
Run it past your group and get some feedback.
Because in meetings, they were like, no, I lost this much money doing this. And everybody's open about it. Like, how much money they lost doing it. Like, I spent $50,000 doing this. It was, I can't believe I did it. It was a terrible business decision.
Yeah. And if you were to do it again with decisions you've made, what you've done differently, it speeds everything along.
It speeds up the process of learning. And I think you're just an idiot not to do it, if I'm going to be honest.
I mean, I think that a lot of the major business decisions that we have been making over the last few years, I can't think of one that probably wasn't vetted, at least with one of our groups.
100%.
And probably all got very constructive feedback from at least one or two members in those groups. So I think it's been pivotal to our success.
And things I was getting ready to do that they were like, whoa. I'm not saying don't do it.
Pump the brakes, but do this
think
first.
About this aspect of it.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what? I hadn't thought about that. I need to go do some due diligence on what that means before I figure out where I go around here and make that decision. So
find the blueprints.
Yeah.
I mean, don't draw them yourself.
Yep. Well, great discussion. Once again, Brad, and thank you to all of our listeners. We've been having a great time shooting all these shows and talking about stuff that we hope you care about. Let us know if you liked it, didn't like it. Leave us some comments and our podcast channel. We hope to have some exciting new content and guests coming out to you soon. Once again, this has been the Overruled podcast, brought to you by the Scott Vignair Law Firm. I'm David Vignair, along with my law partner and co-host, Brad Scott.
Everybody take care.
Talk to y'all soon. Thanks for listening.
Scott Vignair, injury attorneys, we fight for the win.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.